Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. This week we're going to be interviewing a creator I've known for a good long time now. I'd say that we're at least acquaintances for sure. um, but I've got none other than Arrrash. He is a variety content creator, does a lot of challenges, and one of them of lately has been rather challenging, not just on his gaming skills, but I believe on his soul as well. And we'll get into that. But Arrrash, for those who don't know you, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Arrrash. Make YouTube videos. I guess I stream also. I don't even really know what to say I do these days. For a little bit, it was, I used to make Halo videos, then wrote some video essays, then did some Power World challenges, then got some achievements, and now I play my favorite Battle Royale, Fortnite. So I'm actually a huge Fortnite fan. A Ninja inspired me, so I plan on only playing Fortnite for the rest of my life. So I made college football TikToks for about a week, and then they're shutting TikTok down, so I gave up on that.
It's because you started making them, actually.
Yeah. I actually gave up because I got lazy. So they were like doing all right on TikTok, but I would post them on YouTube, and the last three got 0 views, and I thought it's a lot of effort. And then because I don't really care about TikTok, so I was like, 0 views on YouTube. That's a lot of effort to get 0 views, and we chalked it. Maybe we'll come back later, but honestly, I don't know if I care enough. Maybe in the future, if I fully give up on gaming stuff, I'll try again. But I don't know.
Like, I know that we've talked, for a long time about like different ideas and stuff that you've had over the years, but like obviously, aside from being a football fan, which I know that you are, uh, what made you want to even try doing that out? Just like something different, something new, or was it something you were like, oh, I've always wanted to do this, and you just kind of wanted to dive in, try it?
Yeah, I just like felt I wasn't having a ton of luck with like regular YouTube stuff lately, and I was like, you know what? Maybe we try like something completely new, a little new venture, and give it a shot. See, got to see how it goes a little bit. Like I said, the TikToks did it okay on TikTok, but I don't know. The short form content is so weird because like it'll do decent on one platform and do absolutely nothing on another. So it's like I've never figured out what's going on there, but I think part of it might have been because like the format I was doing was impossible to get under a minute because it was just like too much information. And like longer TikToks do fine, but when you post a short over a minute, I think they just die. So I don't think YouTube even tried, but it is what it is. I'm not like writing it off like forever, but it was kind of one of those things where I tried it for like a few weeks, and then I just realized I was spreading myself too thin, and I was like, you know what, maybe we just refocus on the gaming stuff and go from there. I have to have more time to play Fortnite, so
For anybody who does not know, he is very much not passionate this much about Fortnite. This is for a challenge, unless there's something that I don't know.
I love Fortnite. My favorite part of Fortnite was last night. I sat in queue for 45 minutes. Couldn't find a match, and then I went to bed. So I actually never found a match. So we're I'm now not only sure if we can't hit the top rank because I'm not good enough. I actually don't know if there's enough people playing the ranked playlist that I picked, which I apparently picked the worst one. So I was really happy about that. So
Yeah, I saw you posted that graph or that
yeah.
table where this you're playing no build, right?
Well, so there's Fortnite, since it has a lot of players, has a lot of different ranked playlists, right? So I thought in my head, I'm not gonna do build because I don't want to build. I'm an old person, right? But I was like, I'll do OG because there's less stuff in it. It's nostalgic. That's perfect. Well, like it turns out that because of the way like OG was made, it's not really made for no build. So it's like not only is the player base smaller, it's probably like one of the hardest unreals to get. One, because the player base is smaller, so it's a lot sweatier. But two, there just like isn't tools at your disposal because you just like there isn't really any movement items or mechanics at all besides like jump pads, which are pretty rare. There's like no healing anywhere on the map. It's hard to find like good guns. And plus, the guns that you do find are like pretty bloom reliant. So sometimes like gun battles can feel a little RNG, right? And then close range, the whole meta is just like pump shotgunning people, and like even that has spread. So like sometimes you'll shoot someone point blank and like one pump them, and sometimes it does like 50 damage. So it's like I think it's a lot more random than like if you do like the modern map no build, like the way they actually develop Fortnite these days, I think they've actually done a really good job of like the modern map. Because I haven't played it as much, but like Zero build has become such a big thing that when they make these new chapters and new seasons, whatever Fortnite calls them, I feel like they do a pretty good job of realizing that like a large chunk of players still want to play builds, but a large chunk of players don't want to play builds. And they've like utilized items and gun mechanic and like the different weapons and stuff that they add and the cars to actually make both forms of that game play pretty well. Because like in the modern map, you have if you, to just to progress around the map without building, you have cars, you have like these swords that you can pick up that like slash through the sky. There's like these little like I don't know wind gusts that you can throw. So there's all these different ways that you can rotate around the map more effectively, or get out of sticky situations, or just make a quicker rotate. Whereas like in OG, you just walk it on over. And so yeah, I've basically resorted to I just camp now, but it's pretty boring. But I also can't find matches, so I don't know. We'll see if I make it. The goal was to hit Unreal by the end of the month. I also found out that the season ends at the end of the month. So yeah, so I think that's part of the problem too, is I started doing it at the end of the season. So I think a lot of people probably stopped playing it. So it's just all around not great planning on my part.
Well, at least now I guess you know what not to do for Fortnite when you make your inevitable return.
Yeah. Next time I'll do the regular map, maybe. I don't know. I actually like. I was kind of like. I was playing a little bit of Fortnite with my friends and was actually enjoying it. That's why I decided I was like, I should figure out a way to like try and do content out of this because a lot of times I'll like lately had been playing like multiplayer games like in my spare time, but I was like, I'm not doing anything with this besides like playing like Valorant or something with buddies. I was like, what way can I like make an excuse to play this that actually turns into content? So I was like, well, what if I do like and there's always like the 100-hour challenges and like stuff like that. And I was like, well, I don't want to set like an hour limit on it because that's like I'll just set a day limit. And we'll call it a day there because then like I think it would take me over a month to put in 100 hours. But honestly, I don't know. I think we're 10 days deep, and I've on average probably put in like 4 hours. So no, I by the end of the month, if I keep that average at, we would be over 100 hours. But whatever.
See, it's funny you say that because in trying to find some stuff of like content ideas for myself, I've seen a lot of people do like 100 hours or 100 days of this or
Yeah.
whatever. And I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know if it's just like a quote unquote number psychology thing that people do, but one of the ones that like was really prominent was the TCG card shop simulator game.
Yeah.
I was seeing a lot of people being like, I made it to day 100. I'm like, what the fuck is so special about day 100?
I think it's just a big number.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it really boiled down to. The game's still in early access, which like not that this is affiliated anyway. I think it's a fun game. I think it's worth checking out. I think it's like $12 normally. Goes on sale when regular Steam sales are there, so it's not bad. But it's still in development. It's really early. So I was like, what does this have to do with 100 days? But I think it just comes down to the fact it's a big number. People are like, wow, that's a lot of content. Which fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, 100 hours for a lot of games, people don't really realize that's a huge commitment. Because I mean, you think about it in terms of work, it's like 2.5 weeks of work. No.
Yeah. I feel like if you're like a full-time YouTuber or someone without a job or anything, I think those 100-hour challenges are actually not too bad because you can a lot of full-time YouTubers, like as long as they're motivated at all, are probably putting in more than 40 hours. At least like could put in more than 40 hours like over a 2-week span if they wanted to kick out a challenge like that. And then you spend like a week or two making the video and it's like you could do that in like a month or whatever. But when you're not a full-time YouTuber, it's like 100 hours is actually that's a lot of hours. But yeah, I don't know. I've played a little bit of TCG card shop simulator. It's all right. I got to play like 4 or 5 hours. Walked around and sold some cards, opened some packs. I haven't played it in a while though, so I know they like keep updating it. So
Yeah, that's pretty much where it's at. They I haven't played it I think like maybe 2 weeks, something like that. But yeah, what's funny is I ignored opening the packs for a long time because I just didn't care. I was like, I'm just trying to run a shop. I just want to learn about running a shop. And then I very quickly realized I'm like, I'm working a full 8-hour day over here. And then I turn around over here. And then it's like 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I'm done playing this stupid ass retail simulator game. I'm like, what is my life right now?
I mean, that's like a thing, man. It's like the people who play like the trucking simulators and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. I think there's a peaceful bliss in doing like mundane stuff that has no effect. Like you could like fuck up your TCG card shop, but you could just close the game. Like it doesn't. It's not gonna. Yeah, I mean, you might be a little sad if you waste a bunch of hours, but you don't have to worry about like if there's like a douchebag customer. It's not like a real person you have to deal with. You're just like, well, there's not really in that game, but you get the point.
It's interesting. I was thinking about doing something about like those simulator type games, and I obviously the TCG card shop, the driving ones, was kind of curious if there's anything of those that you were particularly into, because the more I've talked to people about them, the more it's like either it's a visceral reaction of no, those are really stupid, or they'll be like, yeah, I love this one, or it's like farming simulator or supermarket simulator, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think the most of those simulators I ever played was one called like Esports Simulator, and you'd get your own little like esports team, and you'd I don't know. That was the thing. You like would sign a team and try and get them to like do well, but that was like forever ago. But other than that, I don't play a ton of like the shop simulator type games. I mean, lately if I want to play like something simulation-y, I just play like college football and I just like try and turn bad colleges into like powerhouses. So that's what I waste my time doing when I just want to like do something mundane, which is obviously like it's different because it's not like owning a shop or whatever. It's just like you gotta do your recruiting and then you play the games and stuff. But I enjoy that because I also enjoy college football, so it kind of works out.
That ends up being a lot of what people go for their simulator, or I guess guilty pleasure games too, where there are some people like who are really into Satisfactory and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I just I don't personally get it, but like for the people who do enjoy it, I see the vision. Where I mean, it's a management game. People are interested in being organized, and it's on their own terms and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily too far fetched for you to do that with your interests and hobbies either. The college football one, like the football ones, like the management games and stuff like that, have always kind of eluded me because I've never really seen the appeal. I guess not that I think it's like there's something wrong with it. It's just I don't really know what they do.
I mean, you have to kind of. I mean, there's multiple ways to go with it, right? Like, there's the people that play online, and I don't really care about online play because you can do like the Ultimate Team stuff where you like open packs and shit. Or like any of those, like the sports games have like dynasty style stuff, and that's what I like to do. And it's just like, you're the coach or whatever. Like you're turning whether it's like you take your favorite team and you just try and make them better, or like you take a bad team and you like turn them around, or like whatever spin you want to take on it. It's kind of you make your own little story. And the current college football game, it's on the dynasty mode's actually pretty shallow, so it's not like I don't know. It's missing a lot, but they didn't make a college football game for like 10 years, so I'm back. Because I would still occasionally play like the old PS3 one on like an emulator on my PC, but it was cool getting the new one because then like over the years in college football, like there's new teams that come into like the division that people care about. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it was nice getting like all the teams and the teams in the right conferences and like the playoff and stuff. So it's been fun.
I think, to my understanding, I mean, obviously not to dive too much into this particular one, but I think a lot of the college football stuff was because of the like player contract stuff, right? It's like the NIL. Is that what it is?
Yeah, there was a guy that sued like 10 years ago, and funnily enough, he was a quarterback in Nebraska. So we caused people to not be able to play college football. But um yeah, he sued because they were using their likeness in the game but not getting paid, and then it like ballooned into this whole thing where EA basically was like, well, like they just took a step back and they're like, well, we lost this lawsuit or whatever, we're not going to continue making the game. But then so that was kind of like the game was its own thing. But eventually, college athletes have wanted to get paid forever, but for the longest time they couldn't. And like in the past few years, yeah, they've made like the NIL, which is name, image, and likeness, and it's kind of turned into a shit show. But like it was supposed to be players could make money off their name, image, and likeness, i.e., they could get sponsorship deals. But it's basically turned into every school has a collective, and the collective just pays people salaries. So like you just get like fake sponsorships because like it's just the boosters give money to the collective, and the collective goes like, "Ah, you want to come to play football at Michigan?" There's like a 5-star recruit this year that went to Michigan. I think he got like 10 mil just to go to Michigan, and so like that's all over college football now because they also like changed. They changed it used to like if you transferred from one school to another, you had to like sit out for a year outside of like certain circumstances. But now kids can just like switch every single year. So like basically at the end of the season, kids just transfer all over the place to either like find a spot where they can be a starter or just get a bag. So it's kind of messy at the moment, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But I'm on board for kids getting paid to play sports, but I do think they need to figure it out a little bit. It's a little messy at the moment, but
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, on one hand, they're using your name, image, and likeness, hence the name. So you want to make sure you're not being exploited there.
yeah, and the a lot of the big college programs, man, they've been making bank off of kids for years, and like a lot of them were getting paid under the table anyways. But like now it's above board, but it's also probably a lot more money. Like beforehand, it was maybe like, oh, you get a car and an apartment. Now it's like you get 10 mil to come play for a year. So
I mean, shit, I'd do it.
for sure, and like I think it's, I mean, probably a lot of young kids that'll blow the money, but like for a lot of those kids, like they're never gonna have like pro careers. So if they can make their bag when they're still in college and like still elite, more power to them.
So, kind of switching gears a little bit. For the history of you making content, you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, I think I started in 2019. I think I think it was 2019. I started. I'd been watching. Funnily enough, I'd been watching like a lot of long form video essays on games, and I was like, I want to try that. So I remember my first video. I wrote a script for a game called Rage, which is like, I don't know, a post-apocalyptic FPS game by id, and it's pretty like I don't know. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's kind of like in the middle. And I wrote a script for it, and I probably could find the script somewhere. And like honestly, the script's probably not that bad, but the voiceover is just horrid. And I had this terrible microphone, and like it's still on the channel. I left it on there. It's beautiful. But yeah, I tried that for a little bit, and honestly, like at the time, I don't think I had like enough experience to properly write like a good script. So a lot of the stuff was pretty shallow and like pretty short. Whereas I feel like if you're gonna dive into older games, you kind of have to dive in. Otherwise, like why are you covering, like if you're doing a surface level IGN style review, but you're doing it like 15 years after the game came out, like kind of why? So you either have to like dive in and go deep, or you have to have like a unique spin, like why are you talking about this game? So I was like doing that for a little bit, and then when Halo was coming to PC, that was kind of like my kick in it roped me back in because I'd been a Halo fan for the longest time, but I'd kind of fallen off because I wasn't playing on Xbox at the time, and so MCC was coming to PC. It was the classics, so that got me back, and then I got roped into the Halo world for a while, and Infinite came out, things were going great, and then infinited. And then it's kind of ever since then it's been like trying to figure out what I want, like what I enjoy on YouTube that also doesn't do horrifically. um and there's been successes here and there, like I mean obviously because you edited for a little bit, but like I wrote some video essays that have like 400,000 or 500,000 views, but I was never able to consistently get stuff to do well. And I also like struggled with, did I want to do like more broad topics where it's like really kind of not opinionated necessarily, but it's like more broad gaming topics, or did I want to like, dive back into specific games? And like I tried a little bit of both, and the results were pretty hit or miss. And then randomly like Power World came out, and I wasn't even like planning to play it, but I like decided to play it with some buddies. And like I was like, oh, this is actually like pretty fun because I've never been a survival game person. And I was like, what if I tried to beat the game using this one really specific shitty pal? He's not shitty though, just to be clear. He's actually the best. He's depressed.
Poor little depresso.
Yeah. And so that kind of kicked off like, oh, what if I did like these unique challenges in games? And the Power World videos actually did like really well. The only problem is I got burnt the fuck out of Power World because I think like in like a month's time, and we were talking about this earlier, in like a month or maybe a month and a half, I put in 180 hours according to Steam, and so I was grinding Power World because those challenges took forever because I was doing like really specific things that just were really grindy to get to make any progress. And I got to the point where like there was multiple different Power World videos that I started and then just like scrapped halfway through the challenge because I just got so sick of like trying to do like I tried to do one where it was like Luckies only, which would be like the Pokemon equivalent of shinies, and I just got like so tired of just like I would spend like hours just walking around trying to get a lucky that had good stats and like all this stuff, and it just wasn't having too much fun. I did one where I was only catching like caged pals, which like you go and like free them, and but I kind of like got stuck at a point. I don't even remember, but there I hit a point like kind of like a wall where to get to the next level, it was like, okay, this is a ginormous task of I'm gonna have to play this a lot more if I want this to go any further. And then I just kind of realized like I wasn't really enjoying Power World anymore, and so I tried to pivot a little bit, and I tried like some unique like game challenges. So I did like a Gears of War thing, but I didn't use the cover mechanic, and that did okay. But at the same time, it was like really gimmicky, and I was like, this actually is a pretty shitty challenge. Like I did it for a couple of the games, but by the end of the second game, I'm like, this isn't really adding much, and it's honestly just annoying me. And plus, like a lot of people would be like, oh, well, you're taking cover, and I'm like, bro, I didn't mean I wouldn't stand behind a wall. I mean I wouldn't use the mechanic in the video game. But whatever. So then I like kind of pivoted a little bit and I tried like some like basically like going after like rare Xbox achievements, which mostly just boiled down to I just beat games on the hardest difficulty. And again, some of that did decently for at least for a little bit. And I was having some fun with it. Some games are pretty BS. Um and yeah, I did that for I don't know, most of last year and kind of toward the end. I'm not like burnt out of that style of content, but I just wanted to switch up. So that's how I ended up playing Fortnite. But yeah, I basically have no clue where my channel is going to go, slash if it even really goes anywhere for much longer, if I'm being honest. But feel like obviously we talked about it off stream or off recording, but I'm an old person now, dude. I turned 32 this year, and it's just like sometimes I just think like, if I still love video games, but like if I didn't dedicate so much time to making content, I could also just like play video games for like 2 or 3 hours at night and go to bed at a reasonable time and still get more video game playing done than I currently do. Although like currently I've been grinding Fortnite, but like a lot of times over half of my time being a content creator is like writing scripts or editing or formulating ideas or like doing all this stuff, and it's not actually just like enjoying a video game. So it's kind of like, what if I just went back to doing that? But I don't know, we're not quite at there yet, but I think we're at the boiling point. I mean I wouldn't like I haven't put like a date on it or anything, but it's like at some point, like, I don't know if I ever would want to quit, but I'm also kind of pretty like all or nothing. Like I feel like if I wasn't putting my full effort into making content, then I wouldn't want to do it because I would be getting stuff out so seldom, and I wouldn't like it would just bother me because like currently, if I'm not working on content when I'm like off stream or something, like it's just like I feel like I wasted my whole night, even if it's just like enjoying a video game or something. So it's like I can only imagine if I tried to make less videos, I would just have that feeling all the time because I would just be like casually playing stuff for my own enjoyment. So I feel like it's either like still go full speed or just stop. But
Yeah, it's we've talked about it, like you said, off of the podcast and kind of a few times over the last few years. But like when you get to that point, because a lot of people like you pointed out, it making content about games isn't just playing games, despite what people would like to believe. Like, is that I wish, but there's a lot that goes behind that, and like it's not to say that necessarily like there are some people out there who are like, oh, this is the hardest job. It's not. It's not by a fucking country mile. This is in comparison to like everyday people jobs, this is pretty simple thing here. But in terms of making stuff like that, a lot goes into it, and it's more than people realize. Of well, you mentioned the writing, the scripts, and all the editing that goes into some of these things. There's planning. There's actually playing the games. There's making all that kind of stuff. When you get to those points of, which is I would guess classify burnout more so than anything. What, like, do you have a conversation with yourself, or do you talk to like people close in your life to like kind of, I guess, gut check that, vibe check it to see if that's still something you want to do or that you should do?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not really. I think a lot of it's I've just been in go mode for so long. I've never really sat down and had that even like that internal monologue to really determine if it's time to hang it up yet. Um, Usually I get depressed and then YouTube gives you the 1 out of 10 and it reinvigorates you for like a week, you know? Uh, so I don't know. I mean, it's always been something that I've kinda just done, like, on my own, so I don't know I think it would just be like a really, I'd have to not, like, sit down with myself, but, like, sit down and think, like, is it time to kinda call it quits? And I I don't know, it's just hard because like, gaming still excites me, I still love gaming, so it's like, I don't have that problem, and I'm always gonna want to do something that like engages people, whether it's giving my opinion or it's like trying different things. Cause I love the interaction of like people or like the feedback of like, oh yeah, like I agree with that or I disagree with that or like, oh that's cool or like people that want to watch like X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I don't know. Some point everyone has to hang it up, right? Like I feel like over it's been at times I've gotten like very down on myself because it's like you spend so much time trying to like make it as a content creator or like as a YouTuber. And obviously like 99.9999999% of people like never turned it into a career, right? And it's like I mean that's very rare. There's a reason like obviously there's the meme like where the streamers would be like, "Oh, streaming's harder than like a 9 to 5." And it's like you're fucking comparing apples and oranges. Like it's just a dumb conversation that people have for engagement because people who work a 9 to 5 like that they don't like or even if they like it get upset when dude who plays video games all day says that his job is hard. And it's like you're fucking comparing two different things. It's like everyone wants to be a pro athlete or an actor or whatever, but not everyone can because not everyone has the talent, and two, even if you have the talent, you don't necessarily get the big breaks, right? That's what being a content creator is, but it's a little bit more accessible than being a pro athlete. Like I'm not genetically in like I was never going to be a pro athlete, right? Like I quit playing soccer before I even went to high school cuz I was fucking not good enough, right? But you don't necessarily like content creation is something that you can work at. Like I mean you can like be a hard worker and still make it as an athlete, but you need like genetics, right? Whereas like I feel like becoming a content creator, especially in the gaming space, where it's like so easy to hit record, it's so easy to it's so accessible for everyone. Like it's easy to get into, but it's very hard to turn into anything, right? So you have like all these people that would love to play video games all day as a career, right? But only, so select few people make it. So it's like it's just a dumb conversation, right? Where like people it being a streamer is not harder than like doing construction, but it's different, right? Like the one is a like artistic endeavor and one is a physical labor job. Like you can't even compare the two because they're completely different like skill sets and they're completely different fields. Like I personally like I couldn't imagine working like construction. Like I'd get my shit kicked in like the first day, right? But like there's some people that probably can't imagine like trying to come up with ideas and stuff because like you said it's not just playing video games. Like it was maybe just playing video games like 10 years ago but we're well past that point to like if you're not analyzing ideas and coming up with stuff like the chances that you make it anywhere are like so slim, it's basically none. But yeah, to wrap it back to what I was saying, like I feel like I've over the years I've gotten so down on myself because it's like I never made it, right? But then you kind of have to like take a step back, and it's like obviously I never turned it into a full-time career, which would have been cool. But at the same time, like I have probably seen more success than, most people ever do. Like you said, I've been doing it since 2019, and there's always some form of viewership. Maybe it's not as high as I would want it to be, or like someone would, dream of having, but like I can still turn on a stream and talk to like 15, 20 people every night. I can still post a video and it has a few thousand people minimum usually that watch it and comment on it, and like there's still people there that enjoy it. I've just never been able to like take that jump from like hobbyist to like, oh, this is a real career. And there's been points during my content creation where I felt like I was bumping up against that, but every time it's either whether it was, I mean, realistically it's always under my control, but sometimes maybe I felt it was a little bit less in my control, where like that opportunity was fleeting, right? Whether it was I decided to all in on a game that just did poorly, right? And it's like at the time I was really bitter about that, because I'm like, dude, I've spent so much time, like this was the big break, and like when the game came out, stuff was popping off. There was like a month stretch when Halo Infinite dropped where like I was posting slop and it would get like 50 to 75K views just because Halo Infinite was so hot, and like you could just post anything as long as you were doing like something that was like relatively well made, right? And obviously, like to no fault of my own, Halo Infinite died, but it is my fault that I all in on a video game instead of trying to like broaden my horizons, and maybe instead of going full into Halo content back during MCC, I still should have kept the door open to do variety way back then, because what if I had started variety back then, then I could have been years ahead where I ended up being. So it's like sometimes you have to self-reflect, and it's like, when I had some video essays that did really well, and it's like, what if they all did really well? And it's like, well, I mean, I tried. Like some of them just I bad ideas, bad scripts, bad editing, and I'm not faulting you, but like my like who knows which thing is the reason, right? But like
Yeah.
for some reason I couldn't consistently get a video essay to get 100K, or like or like Power World. It's like I actually don't regret that one at all, because I was miserable playing that toward the end. But it's like, what if I had parlayed Power World challenges into other survival video games? And it's like, I could have. That probably would have done well, but I don't like survival games. Like Power World was an anomaly to me, and it was really only the allure of the Pokemon mechanics that had me at all. Like that's what brought me into Power World. Like the survival and the crafting and building your base is not a style of game I've really ever enjoyed. But I did enjoy going around getting the cute little pals and collecting them and doing the little battles, right? And that comes from like, I've always casually enjoyed Pokemon. I've never been like a mega Pokemon stan or anything like that. But so yeah, I don't know. That was really long-winded. I don't know where I was going with it. I kind of lost the point. I think we lost the plot.
Even if some or all of my editing was bad, I'm not going to take offense to that.
No, no, I that wasn't a shot at you, because obviously, like
No.
on my channel, I've edited a hell of a lot more videos than you ever did. Plus, I've so like in you can have the best edited video in the world if the topic isn't the right time, the thumbnail isn't perfect, the title isn't perfect. There's so many factors to what makes a YouTube video like hit. It's so hard to like. There's all the analysts on Twitter that are like, oh, but if you just fucking if you put a face on your thumbnail, your views go up tenfold, and it's like maybe like
Yeah. If you have
maybe
like a specific kind of content, maybe.
yeah, like maybe the reason I never popped off was because I didn't put my face in thumbnails. Who knows, right? Or like, maybe it's because when I write scripts, I don't make like cutaway jokes 24/7. I don't know, but like YouTube these days is literally the only analytic that matters is retention. So did people click on video, and did they watch video all the way through? And if you did A and B, YouTube goes, "Oh, good video." And then it goes, boom. But like how do you get people to click on video and watch video is like that's the age-old question, right? Like if people actually could figure that out, here's the secret sauce. The YouTube analysts and shit that sell you all that stuff, if they truly figured out YouTube, other than the very rare person, they would just do YouTube because they'd be the next Mr. Beast if they truly figured it out, right? And there are some of those people that have figured it out and maybe you've done it in the past, and this is more of like a, hey, I burnt out on actually being a creator, this is what I want to do now. But there's so many fucking grifters that try and sell you how to be the next streamer or the next YouTuber, and it's like, brother, they're doing this because this is how they get views, because of all the desperate people who also want views. And it's like, sometimes they're like, advice is good, but sometimes you have to like look at it and be like, this is pretty like common sense. Like, it's like, how do you how do you grow to be a Twitch streamer in 2025? Well, step one, have a consistent schedule. Step two, make sure you're posting content on other platforms. Step three, don't forget to collaborate. And it's like, fuck it, sick.
Oh
Like,
my god, I all this
fuck, I
time.
got it. I got it, dude. Now I'm gonna be the next fucking Speed. So
Yeah.
I'm well on my way. Like, now that I've got my 3-step program, there's no way I'm not gonna be famous. So, and then there, like, just like in YouTube or anything, there's so much that goes into it. Like, you can do everything perfectly. Maybe you're just not entertaining enough, or maybe you're not lucky enough, or maybe you've picked a poor game or a poor style of content. It's just that you never know.
Well, I like that you brought up the guru stuff, because what kind of really gets me boiling is, on the last episode we talked about how I'm finally getting back into college and stuff like that, but this time I'm going for marketing. And it's something that I've touched before. I've had a couple small time like internships and small jobs, managing some campaigns and stuff through Google. But like around that time when I first started learning that stuff, I almost got sucked into all that bullshit, where it was, the Gary V bajillion and a half videos that you get, the Tony Robbins shit, like all of it. I was never really like encapsulated by Ty Lopez, but like you get the drift, like all of that kind of stuff. And it's not to say that like every single thing that those people say is grifty.
Some of it's legitimate, some of it's real advice,
Yeah.
but
It's like surface level stuff though.
the big thing you have to realize is, with any of those, whether it's a YouTube guru or a finance guru or like any of those people, if they're selling you the idea of making money, most likely, if they were truly good at it, they would just make the fucking money, right? If it was as easy and as successful as they say, why aren't they just doing it, right? Like, and sometimes some people, it depends, right? If someone's just like posting tips on Twitter or something for free because they're like, hey, like, this is how I grew, like, here's some advice. Hey, fair play. But it's the people who try and sell you the shit, right? Where it's like, hey, pay $1,000 a month to join my finance class, and I'll show you how to invest to become the next billionaire. And it's like,
But you're
if
not a
you,
billionaire.
yeah, but
So
it's like,
how?
like, if this information was truly worth $1,000 a month and it wasn't just a fucking scam, you would just be doing this investing at 100x the volume that you say, and you'd just be rich. Like, why sell people a shitty course if you could just be rich, right? And it's like, I mean, that's the whole. There's the fucking finance people. There's the Andrew Tate crew, like,
God.
all those people that are just selling bullshit, right? But the YouTube gurus are the least bad of all these. All right, those guys are just trying to farm some people who are desperate to grow on YouTube. So they're the most harmless, right? But
Yes, but one of the things specifically about those, and it's specifically about people who talk about like how to grow YouTube and hack your socials and not like hack isn't like get into, but like hack the algorithm and do well. Every single time that someone brings up in that topic space the CPM for what their clients made, 9 times out of 10 that CPM is talking about YouTube. And of course it's going to be a higher CPM, because everybody and their fucking grandmother wants to be financially free, doing something that is marketably less work, even though it's not. It's just different work, like we talked about. But it like they'll try to give you all these like very surface level tips. So like you said, make sure you have a schedule. Here's your content planner. And they never go into like what the content planner is. They just say you need to have one. Okay, great. What is it? How do I put one through? You got to be posting on socials for this. You have to be engaging with your comments for this. And it's like, that's great. But the examples that they give drafting about a fake business or a fake video idea is either AI slop now, because the amount of times that I see now, like today, I've seen, I think 4 or 5, it was TikToks of people being like, this is how I left my bullshit ass 9 to 5 and I'm selling stuff on Etsy. And every single time it was throw some fucking thing into like Canva GPT bullshit or OpenAI or whatever the fuck, or it was take someone else's content, steal it, and repurpose it, and then
Yeah.
you sell some
No,
bullshit.
my favorite is the faceless YouTube grift, where it's
Oh,
like it's always some dude on Twitter that's like, the next big thing to be financially free is to be a faceless YouTuber. And that doesn't mean you're just a YouTuber who just doesn't put their face in a video. That's fair play. Hey, not everyone
yeah.
wants to be on camera. No, the faceless YouTube grift is you don't fucking do anything.
You just
You
steal people's
either
content.
you
Yeah.
just AI slop entire videos, or you outsource everything. But here's the fucking kicker. Outsourcing everything is expensive as shit. So unless you are pulling in massive viewership, which you're not going to as a new channel, there's no way you're affording all these people. So then it's like AI slop. Well, AI slop is trash. Like, I know people love AI and it has its uses. I'm not against AI by any means. Well, I am in parts, but like the general concept, like I don't think all of AI is bad, but like when people try and use it to replace creative processes, you can usually tell, and it's
Yeah.
usually very bad.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know. And it's always a post on Twitter like, this is how much money my newest faceless channel makes. And it's like this cropped screenshot where it doesn't have the channel name, but it just happens to have some big ass dollar amount. And it's like,
Yep.
is that your channel? What channel is that? Did you just like get a screenshot off Google? This means nothing to me, but it's like, I made 20K last month. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so did I in my fucking dreams. Like, what are we doing here? Like, maybe you did. I don't fucking know. Show me the actual channel. Then I
Yeah.
can analyze what you actually did rather than you just telling me some bullshit about how you outsourced a bunch of stuff. Because, hey, maybe you did. Maybe you found a cool topic where you were able to like find people who were going to do work for free or like cheap, or you were willing to put in a bunch of capital, which is like a totally different thing than like, this is free money. It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
invested like 10K to like find an editor and a script writer and like all this stuff. And it's like, maybe it turns out, maybe it doesn't, right? But like, you can totally like turn, I mean, you can turn YouTube into like a business venture, but like, it's not just like easy money. It's not like, oh,
Right.
I just rolled over and I became a faceless YouTuber and now I'm rich, but I don't put in any effort. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah. If it was that easy, everybody'd be doing it. And
yeah, and you wouldn't be telling me on Twitter about how good it
right.
is. You would just do it again. You would just do it again and again and again. If you can make 20K a month not doing shit, why aren't you doing that 30 times? And there you go. You don't have to ever like think about having a job again, right? But like
Yeah.
they don't. Maybe it worked once. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe that's not their channel. Maybe they realize like, oh, that was actually like maybe I made 20K a month, but I invested 100K from like this other thing that I had money from. And it's like you never get the full picture. Like
Yeah.
it's always a little scammy, right?
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. Like that's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to do this show is, obviously getting the takes of people outside of content and kind of getting to know creators a little bit more on the personal side, but like to really actually discuss stuff like this because a lot of people really don't know. And like, I'm not going to pretend that I know everything. I'm not going to pretend that I know maybe even 50%, but of what I do know, unfortunately, it's you got to put effort in. And a lot of people may say that they want to do that, and I hope that they follow through. But the reality is that a lot of people lately, unfortunately, fall victim to that you can have this super easy lifestyle by just doing these 3 things or these 5 things, and 4 of those 5 things are like absolute fucking garbage and aren't actually like real actionable things to do. Because say that somebody does end up doing that, and then they make it big, they hit the million sub, and they're making some shmoney. The problem with that is then you find yourself in an authority position in an industry that you don't know how to operate in, because if someone wants to work with you at a professional level and you don't know how to do what would be expected of a creator at a million subscribers, you're probably not going to get a lot of work after that outside of what you're doing. And then your dream unfortunately falls apart. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. And there are definitely people who may have a million more subs who still kind of don't really know what they're doing. And those people, I mean, it can be anybody. But a lot of it is understanding how to do some things and shining that light on people's creative processes, shining light on tools and structure for people can do for stuff like that. It's definitely something that I think more people should hear and see in the perspective of like, what actually people go through. So it's definitely a nice goal for the show, and I appreciate that you have given a very deep, I feel, insight into what how you've gone through. I mean, it's been 2019 since you started. You've gone through quite a few things. You've gone through quite a few different iterations of content, and while you may not necessarily know where you're going after this, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to stop either.
No, I mean the long and the short is any type of content creation it's we talked about like whether or not a 9 to 5 is harder or whatever, but trying to become a content creator is a lot of hard work and it's a lot of time spent trying things out because you never know what will work, what you enjoy, and what actually takes off, right? You have to just try a bunch of different things, find YouTubers that you really enjoy, mix up concepts, mix up ideas, try different things, and maybe you'll find your niche. Maybe you won't. Who knows, right? But it's trying a lot of different things, and it's none of it's easy, right? None of it's just turning on a camera and yapping for 10 maybe it is, maybe you have like such cool stories or you're so entertaining that you could just yap into a camera for 10 minutes and just post it raw. But like, for every person it's going to be different, right? And so you have to figure out what works for you, and you have to be willing to like put in the work. And for some people they're going to hit it big a lot sooner, and some people might be a lot harder work, and some people it won't work at all, right? And I think that the thing with YouTube is like, or streaming, whatever. I think a lot of people like to blame algorithms and, blame external reasons as to why they aren't getting views or like can't make it. And at the end of the day, I think it really, I mean, the algorithms do matter, but like at the end of the day, it comes down to you, right? You have to be willing to self-reflect and see, hey, I've done the same thing for 6 months and it's not working. Is it bad? I don't know. But maybe it's oversaturated, or maybe it's not interesting, or maybe the topic just isn't that great. Maybe I'm good at it, but maybe the topic's not great. You have to be willing to like go outside your comfort zones and actually try different things, and maybe at some point you hit it, and maybe you never do, right? But that's the thing, right? Where it's like, you can sit there and blame, the it's so hard to become a YouTuber, man. Like the algorithm, it's so hard. And it's like, dude, the amount of, and I don't mean this disparagingly, but the amount of like new YouTubers that I see pop up on YouTube with like not amazing thumbnails or like not amazing editing, but the concepts are cool. Maybe they're like, it's like, oh, so that's a really good video idea. I didn't think of that. And it has 500K views, and you're like, holy shit. And you go and like you look at it and it's like their second video, and you go, well, that's not fucking fair. I've been doing videos for X amount of years. I've never had the big break. And it's like, hey, that's the game, man. Like you didn't come up with that idea. They did. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they weren't the first one, but they were the one to post it at the right time, right? And it's all a game. And you like, like I said, I don't necessarily think there's luck to YouTube, but there is a little bit of luck to like maybe when you get your break. And some people give up before they ever do. And I think I think content creation is something that anyone could do. Like, I think if you're willing to put in the work in a long enough time frame, we all get old and like you eventually don't have the time to put into it. I think with enough time frame and enough actual self-reflection, anyone could make it. But the problem is like people get stuck in their comfort zone. They do something that isn't working for too long, or they just get burnt out and they give up before they ever get their break. And but that's just how it is. Some people can post one video and it pops off and hey, they're a YouTuber. But that's just what it is.
I think that's the hard part too, is like you've obviously got a family, you got a full-time job, and finding that time, which I don't know how you do it personally. I mean, like it's just me and my wife, and we have our cats, and that enough is a lot of time. And I don't know how you consistently find the time to stream and do the videos and stuff like that.
The key is just to not sleep. I don't know if you know who Holotide is.
They're a Halo creator, right?
Yeah, he makes Halo videos. Occasionally on Twitter, I'll post something and he'll just respond like, "Maybe just get some sleep," and I'm like, "Fuck you, bitch!" Like, I'm not going to sleep.
It's like, hey, shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, stop telling me how to live my life, okay?
God.
Like one time, like I can't remember what I posted. He's like, maybe you should look at a video of the adverse health effects of not getting more than 5 hours of sleep. I'm like, brother, I didn't ask for a life. Like, I didn't ask for life advice. I just wanted to know why my video did bad.
Damn.
But no, he's a good dude. I like him. But I should get more sleep, but I don't. So
yeah, well, I can definitely attest to that, and sleep is obviously very important. We both know that. However, the bags under our eyes would like to have some words regarding that, but it's really annoying how right the people who are like, you need to get a lot of sleep and go to bed at a reasonable hour, like how correct they are. Because not only do I not enjoy waking up early in the morning, I really fucking hate going to bed at like 9 or 10. Because in my case, I live in the East Coast, but I work off of Phoenix time. So I don't get off of work until like 7 or 8 o'clock, depending on what time of the year it is. So like my literal whole fucking day is work. But when you go to sleep at a reasonable hour and then you wake up at like 6 or 7, and then you have that period where it's like, oh, ew, I exist. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's not so bad, whatever, fine. Then you get a bunch of shit done in the morning, like, oh, I gotta work now. It sucks knowing that those people are right. Because you're like, you know what, you annoying little piece of shit. I want to stay up and play these damn games or watch this show or just hang out. But you're right, and I don't like it.
yeah, I think realistically, like I know myself. And like even before I made YouTube videos, I just have no self control. I just don't go to like when I was in college, I would just play League of Legends all night and then try and go to class all like no sleep. And I wasn't doing anything. I was literally like a silver shitter in League playing for 10, 12 hours a night. Like it's not like I was accomplishing anything. So it's like I know myself. Like I could not be making YouTube videos. I'd still just be playing Valorant all night with whoever, or even if there was no one to play with, like I'd just be playing ranked by myself. Like I don't know. I understand sleep is important. I never can wake up and I don't like being tired, but I also like I don't know. The thrill of staying up late playing a video game, it's always been alluring. It's like, at night when you try and play a game during the day, well I have kids now, so it's different, but like even before I did, when you try and play games during the day and you're trying to get in that grind, there's always stuff that comes up, man. You get a phone call, you get a text, "Hey, why don't you come do this?" When you're playing at 4 a.m., dude, no one's gonna bother you.
Not a single person.
You just play that shit until your heart's content, and then you go to work the next day and you hate your life, all right? And then you rinse and repeat that for months straight, all right? That's the motto of life.
It's the Arrrash way.
I'll sleep when I'm dead. So that's the goal. We're sometimes I'm like, I wonder if I slept more, if like X health condition would be better, and I'm like, yeah, probably. And then I don't make any life changes, so.
But I have to get Unreal in Fortnite, so.
Yeah. If I don't start getting matches though, I might chalk it because as much as I enjoy Balatro, I really don't want to turn on the stream and play Balatro for 45 minutes while I sit in a Fortnite queue. It's peaking like there's like some suffering I'm willing to go through, and it's peaking past that to the point where now it's just like it's actually just annoying. Like
just regret. I'm
not even like upset. I'm just annoyed that I've wasted 4 hours to play 4 matches of Fortnite. But we'll see. Maybe the matches will be flowing tomorrow. You know, you never know.
It's like that meme of the guy mining the diamonds, and then he gives up too early.
Yeah.
In terms of like games that you've played over your time, whether content or not, like, is there any specific game, whether it be a positive or a negative, like one that stands out like more so than all the others, from the list that you've played?
Yeah, Halo 3, it's the best.
Arguably, nothing else.
No, Halo 3, hands down, dude. Like when Halo 3 came out, my life was Halo 3. Like it came out when I was a freshman in high school. And I really like I didn't not have friends, but I also wasn't like popular. And like I would go to school and I can't complain. My life wasn't terrible. I'm a middle class kid, so I was never like scrounging for food or anything like that. And I went to a private school. Like life wasn't hard for me growing up. But like, I would go to school and be like, wow, life sucks. And I'd come home and I'd get on Halo and like you'd have all your buddies, you'd play custom games, matchmaking, like it was such a fun time. And I think it realistically could have been any game during that time frame. It just happened to be Halo 3, which also was a good video game, right?
Yeah.
So I think it holds such like a special place in my heart just because of just like those formative years of the amount of times and bless my mom. I don't know why she didn't like scream at me, but like I would come home on a Friday, come home, and I'd be like, all right. I'd go into my room, turn on Halo 3, play it from the moment I got home to school until I literally passed out playing. Like just fell asleep on the microphone. We'd be playing like custom games or like matchmaking. I'd fall asleep. I'd wake up. I'd like fumble out of my room, maybe like get breakfast and just go right back into it. Saturday,
Oh my
all
god.
day, Halo 3 again. And then like Sunday rolls around and just do the same thing until my mom would yell at me to do homework.
It's interesting that I had a similar experience in terms of like coming home, staying up late, playing all day, and whatever. I've shared this on social media a few times, but I had a Disney Princess CRT TV that was my sister's, and for some reason or another, she didn't want it anymore, and I was like, I need a TV, so sure. And so I had this little, I my setup was on a baker's rack. I had my little shitty computer that was to the left of that, and then I had the CRT TV to the right of it, and I had my Xbox 360, and we'd just play Halo 3 as much as we could. And then when Reach came out, that was the game that we would dive in onto. I was never really a COD person, so it was pretty much always Halo. But like I had the crushing realization like about a week ago, I think it was, where I've had that poster since the game came out. Realized I've had this half my life. Literally half my life.
That is actually crazy.
That's insane to think about. But yeah, it was just always playing super late as we possibly could, having tons of fun, meeting lots of people all over the place. I think it was really, really cool. Cause yeah, I also was not a very popular kid in high school. I mean, I kind of get it because I was kind of weird, but
I miss that social aspect of gaming. Like I feel like it's something that's really lost in multiplayer gaming. Not that you can't meet people anymore, but so many people are just like sitting in a party chat or don't have a microphone plugged in. Whereas like back during the glory days of the 360 or even like PC at the time, like dude, you just talk to people. Like the amount of people that I would just like chat with in game and you'd be like, "Yo, bro, let's party up." And you'd like play with them for like hours and like maybe you'd play with them again, maybe you wouldn't. But these days the amount of people that I meet in games is so seldom. It's usually like either the same group of people that I've played games with forever, or it's like a friend of a friend, or it's like someone I've reached out to play with. And it's not like I'm not like naturally meeting people anymore. It's just like people are just like a name. They're just like a nameplate. Or even if they talk, it's like fleeting. It's like you play one game with them. Really, probably the only thing you did was a couple call outs, or maybe like someone bitched at someone, and then you just go next. GG.
I think we talked about that. And I think it was a topic that you had for a while about a possible video. I mean, we've touched on it in a few of those, but it's interesting to think about that because I think where it really started was the 360 era, and obviously games were designed to be social. The early days of the original Xbox and PS2 and even GameCube, which like I didn't know until years later even had online, but all of that was centered around just meeting people because the internet was still new. It was growing. Like it wasn't like new literally, but to the common person, the price of access was way lower than it was in like the 80s and 90s. So as that grew, it was more social pushing to get people to come together and, ultimately realistically buy the thing that connected people to the internet, because that's what the companies really cared about. But as that went on, like having the party chats and stuff like that, it encouraged people, not like directly, but I think gradually socially, to just kind of stick with their little tribes and always be in the party chats when he found a good group of people instead of going into the games. And then that went on for like, better part of a decade, and party chat was expected. Party chat was a necessity. You needed to be able to have that. So whether it was TeamSpeak or Skype or Discord or on console stuff, people needed a space to hang out and do that. So they just did that instead. And then a whole new generation of gamers came into the picture, and that's all there was. So it sucks because I think a lot of those older features that you and I grew up with, even if they were replicated today, and in some cases they still are, I don't think it would have the same effect. And it's weird to think about because people just interact differently socially now.
Yeah, I think the internet's like matured to a point where like the naivety's gone. Like
Yeah.
people aren't. I think people back then were going in with like such naive bliss, like, oh, like it's just cool to like talk to people. But now it's like you're like, that person's a fucking dick. That person's a weirdo. That person's a creep. This person's yelling slurs at me.
Yeah.
Whereas like back then, like that also happened, but for some reason, like you just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like you'd have someone in your like COD lobby saying slurs, and you'd just be like, oh yeah, it's COD.
Yeah.
But like now you like play COD or something, and someone's like saying like just spewing slurs, and you're like, what the fuck is your problem? Like,
Yeah.
grow the fuck up. Like, what are we doing right now, man? It's like I'm fucking 30, and you're yelling a slur at me because I killed you. Like, shut
Right.
up. like, like what?
It's not even that. Like you being 30 and knowing that kids, whether people want to admit it or not, rated M does not mean that kids are not playing these games. But like
No.
you're arguing
Well, I
with
don't
children.
even. These days, they don't even rate like the multiplayer stuff, right? It's like totally separate. So it's like when you have like these free to play games like the Fortnites and stuff, Fortnite is cartoony, but your online interactions, you can't rate those. So it's always just gonna be people. And I feel like I don't know. It's so hard because like games these days try so hard to police what people are saying. And I don't think that's bad because like I don't think people should be like abused over voice chat. Like no one wants to hear slurs and like shit like that. But I do wonder if that also has had detrimental effects where it's like people don't even bother anymore because they're like, oh, like that playful banner that wasn't like that didn't go too far. Well, the shitty AI system thought it did, right? Now I'm chat banned. And it's like I was just telling someone they're a shitter. Like, you fucking suck. Like, you'll get over that, right? But it's like in the time, like you can have a little fun. Like you kill someone in Warzone, you're like, oh, you fucking suck, dude. Like, no one, hopefully, no one is truly upset by that, right? But like you like if you do that enough in Warzone and games like that, you just get comp banned. So it's like no one even bothers, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously that doesn't that really comes down to just like trash talk and like being abusive. But I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it's just party chats and people just sit in party chats these days. But I feel like the whole like back then, if you wanted to meet people online, right, you just like launched up a game and just hit Q, right? Whereas now, if you truly want to find like people, you got to use like an LFG or like go into a Discord, and like it's like an extra step, and it's like I don't actually care enough to do that, so I'll just like play with this bot that doesn't talk to me, right? And then I'll get off after a little bit.
What's the thing is like a lot of people don't understand that the common person, not even just for games, but for anything, there's a reason why so many of the daily things that you use are stupid simple. And it's because it's not that people can't figure it out. It's because they do not want to be fucked to figure it out. And in some ways I get it. Other ways I'm like, dude, really? Come on. It's not that bad. But like games especially, I think are definitely like that. Where some people there was an argument that was had with the Blur video where someone was talking about, well, why can't people just pirate the game? Or why can't they just allow third party in like groups or individuals to maintain these dead games? And the reason that myself and other people kind of like were trying to explain to this person was that again, the average person doesn't know how to do that, and they're not going to. And it's not because they're not capable. It's just like I don't think even in my case where I kind of slightly know that stuff now, I don't want to fucking do that. Like there's a reason why I just go, all right, cool. I have this game. I can pop it in my PS3 and I click clack and I play it. It's that simple. That's why they were made that way.
Yeah, I think there's always this like bliss that's like, oh, like X game would be popular if it was still playable, or like if the community could, uphold it. And a lot of it comes like a lot of so like Insignia or stuff, like people brought back the original Xbox Live, and it's a very cool thing. It's also like very dead, but that's because it's a bitch to set up. So
Yeah,
it's
and
like
it's niche.
yeah, your average person like doesn't care. They have like an hour or two to play games, maybe a week. They're not going to spend that setting up like something that takes that long to set up and doesn't have that many players. They're just going to launch like Fortnite or whatever new single player game is, and they'll just play that for a little bit and then get off. But you have to like really want to do something to like take that extra step. But I do think it's a bummer that like so many multiplayer games get shut down, but like I don't know, it's hard because a lot of times they get shut down because no one's playing them. Like there are like weird cases where stuff gets shut down, like maybe prematurely, where it's like there is still like a somewhat thriving community, but it just like gets the plug pulled, or like the plug gets pulled in a way where like the game isn't shut down, but we as a developer are completely moving on, and then slowly it dwindles away. And I think that's more common than like a game straight up like being popular still, or like being relevant and being like shut off. I think more of it's like, oh hey, we have this game, but by the way, we're done working on it ever because we're gonna go work on X thing, and then slowly over time, people just stop playing said game, and they because you want new experiences, right? Like you, is my the game a game can be like the most amazing game in the world, but at the end you can only play things like so much before it gets old, especially if there's not like new people to play with or like new experiences to be had. Like at some point it does get boring.
I think that's one of the reasons why, like, as much as I love RuneScape, old school RuneScape, I love it. It's core part of my upbringing as a young gamer, but it's not that it's like dry per se, but it's like it has its limits, you know. Like you get ingrained into it for a little bit. You're like, yay, I'm doing this thing, and then like it's just I don't want to fucking do this, like at all.
Yeah, but even OSRS, like I don't really play it, but like OSRS, like it is old school RuneScape, but they add new stuff to it. It's not. This isn't a straight snapshot of like 2004 where they just reposted it, right? They're constantly adding new things that just fit the theme of the old game. And so like I think that's a cool way to like keep. I think you can keep old games alive perpetually if you do stuff like that, where you just have to continue to actually add things to them, right? But if you just straight up call it a day and you move on, it can be the best game in the world. Eventually it is going to slowly like dwindle off.
Yeah, and that's not to say like I don't enjoy it still. Like I because I agree with you. Like the fact that they're adding sail, or I think it's sailing that's coming soon. But like they're adding entirely new skills for the game. They're adding quests pretty often. A lot of that was from demand, and normally developers wouldn't do that. But with the success of classic WoW coming back, Jagex was like, "All right, we'll give it a shot." And it turned out to be a really good idea for them because RuneScape 3 is fucking terrible. But um but yeah, like all sorts of stuff like that where I think people have this craving for older nostalgia fueled things, but unfortunately it's harder to go along, not just from accessibility, but yeah, it's like there's new experiences that people want. If it's some randomly dropped off thing, it's harder to get back into it. And like to your point about like killing games randomly, I mean, obviously the crew is one of them, but like that was also a really old game, so like fine, whatever. But like Gundam Evolution as an example, that was I kind of felt like that was out of left field. That had a pretty solid player base, and they just kind of sniped it. And
It was pretty dead on PC. I mean, I don't know if it had a PlayStation player base that I'm unaware of,
uh,
But I remember like it was sub 1K on Steam before they
Damn.
announced it. Yeah, it was down bad. Like
Oh, I didn't know that.
it just never the player base never stuck around. And like if you tried to play like ranked, it was just dead. Um but and like they would drop like the new season where they drop like a new Gundam or whatever, and it would like barely move the needle. Like I thought Gundam Evolution was cool, and I kind of wonder like if they just unfortunately missed the timing, because if you look at it, Gundam Evolution was a class-based shooter with the Gundam thing, and everyone said like, oh, it died because class-based shooters are dead. That is very much not true. Marvel Rivals has popped the fuck off, but for whatever reason, Gundam Evolution couldn't hit that. Like, it had the initial hype. It had a lot of people that played it, and they all fell off. Whereas Marvel Rivals has captured those people and kept them around. So I don't necessarily know. Like, I think a lot of people just wrote off Gundam Evolution because it was a class-based shooter. Oh, yeah, it's not a BR. Everything's dead if it's not a BR. We've seen that. It's clearly not true. So now it's like maybe we need to re-reflect. Why did Gundam Evolution actually die? Well, it was very gray. Maybe the Gundam IP just isn't as interesting for different classes as Marvel is, right? Where every Gundam, if you're not a Gundam fan, don't kill me out there, Gundam fans.
Not
They all
again,
just
please.
they're all robots, right? They all look pretty similar, which is a lot different than a Marvel, where it's like you have Spider-Man, and I actually haven't played much Marvel Rivals, but like you have Spider-Man and you have like fucking the Black Panther character, and you have like all these different superheroes and villains from the different movies and the different universes, or I guess it's all MCU, but whatever, you get the point. There's a much bigger variety of characters in Marvel Rivals versus robot A, B, C, and D if you weren't a fan of Gundam, right? Whereas like I can launch up Marvel and every character looks very different. Like they all have different themes. Like, or if you are a Marvel fan, like maybe you're a huge fan of Spider-Man. Is someone really a huge fan of like Sniper Gundam? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about Gundam, but I I also think like the Marvel Rivals seems to be adding a lot more to it, but I don't know, man. It's I really don't know. I wonder if Gundam Evolution just missed the timing, because I thought it was a very fun game, and I thought it was fun in ways that Overwatch wasn't to me. Whereas like it had classes, but you weren't like you could still like in Overwatch, if you're playing like a healer or something, or if there's like a tank, it's much more team oriented. Whereas like Gundam Evolution, I felt like you could make solo plays a bit more, but if you worked as a team, it was obviously way better. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, to wrap it back to that point, I wasn't surprised that Gundam Evolution got shut down, but I do wonder like I wonder why it wasn't able to hit.
I think the secret, honestly, is that it wasn't Bionicles, and Bionicles is kind of just superior.
There is that Bionicles game that looks like the Halo 5 case, so I think they should bring that back.
You got to show me this. What are you talking about?
There was isn't there? Or maybe I'm thinking of something else. There was some like, yeah, here I found it. Bionicle Heroes. The case looks very Halo 5-esque. This is like well before Halo 5.
Oh yeah. I think I have that game actually.
Hell yeah. I'm sure it's great.
I think I have it for the 360.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never played that game in my life, but I just remember seeing the memes because it's like the same concept.
The same like composition of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's I never noticed that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I have something here. So with hosting events, you did that quite a few times, and that's actually how you and I met. What, like, was there anything specific that you just like kind of got up and were like, I really want to do events, I want to do X, Y, and Z, or was it just something like, yeah, fuck it, let's try this?
For me, I just thought they were kind of fun to host, and I think they were a cool way to bring engagement to like the Twitch channel. Um, they were never necessarily something I had like huge passion for. Like, I wouldn't say I sat around being like, I want to be an esports tournament organizer. Like, it was cool, and like I ran some fun concepts, and like I played with the idea, but a lot of it really was I kind of wanted to like run these community events for the Twitch channel. Like it was more so like I'm doing this for this rather than like I want to do this for this. Um, realistically, I enjoyed doing them. I would still do them if they weren't like impossible to fund. Like
Yeah.
if so here's my point of view. Like I I think I had like talked about it at Twitter and someone's like, "Oh, well like you don't really need a prize pool or like you don't really need like." And it's like, sure, I could post like, "Hey, I'm having a tournament for $20 and I have no production because I'm doing everything." And it's like I could do that and like I'm sure someone might sign up, but that's not like the fun of it. Like I like the idea of like giving people like not life-changing money or anything like that. It was like $1,000 or whatever, but like a chunk of money that they can be like, "Oh, this was cool. Like I won $500 playing Splitgate today." Or like $500 playing Halo 3 today. Like a meaningful amount of money that made it worth people's time besides they just like wanted to come because they wanted to come, right? And same with like casters or like production, like admin stuff. Like, sure, can you get nothing but volunteers? Probably, right? But like, it's more fun or like it's more fulfilling if you can like pay people that help you out and stuff like that. So it's like, I would, I mean, I don't. They're also a lot of fucking work, I'll be honest. But like, I probably like if someone came to me tomorrow. Which actually, this is kind of a lie because someone did come to me and I basically fucked them off. So I'm talking on my ass. But basically, if someone came to me tomorrow and they're like, "Hey, here's $5,000, host a Halo Infinite tournament," I'd probably do it. But I say that happened and I didn't do it. So in retrospect, you know what? Maybe I don't like hosting events that much. But so there was a company that came to me to host some Halo stuff, and I basically like just kind of stopped responding because I was busy doing other stuff. So I feel like the hosting tournaments and being a tournament organizer is a full-time or like a part-time hobbyist gig. And I was always trying to do it on top of like as like a side thing to like being a content creator, right? So I don't think there's not enough time in the day for me to like make actual decent YouTube videos and host actual decent events, like come up with ideas and like put together all the stuff. So you end up half-assing stuff, and I chose path A over chat path B, and I don't really regret that at all. But hosting events was a lot of fun. Like I did enjoy it. I didn't necessarily ever like enjoy being a caster or anything like that, but I did enjoy like putting on the event and like seeing all the people in chat and like getting like the cool clips of like people like hitting a cool shot or like winning a game or something like that, or like from the first Splitgate tournament we did. I don't know if you remember, but like there was the clip of I can't remember who his teammate was. I think it was like Swooty and Bazaar. It might have been his name, but like after they won, like there's the clip of Swooty just like dancing, and it's like stuff like that was cool. But I'm not necessarily like dying to jump back into like tournament organizing.
Like you said, it's hard work, and I mean, I only ever had small parts in doing not just events with you, but just doing events in general. Whether it's an esports event or like an IRL event, it's a lot of work, man, and they're very fulfilling. I think in the moment, and I enjoy doing them. But yeah, I kind of wholeheartedly agree with you that especially for doing them on your own, that's just a lot. And for anybody who wants to do it, go for it. I mean, it's better to try it and realize it's not for you than to just never do it and be all like, this sucks. I should have done that, blah, blah. Just go do it. But especially in the case of like larger corporations or larger companies, we'll leave them nameless. So there's no issues. But there's also, unfortunately, like some league spaces that are kind of just locked in to those places, and you can't do anything outside of that, which is a little unfortunate. It's like Halo has its own. Um, with Siege, do you have like now? They ended up doing some kind of program where you can do your own tournaments, but like the way that they structure theirs is very technical. So unless you're actually like in that ecosystem doing it from the big teams and whatever, you kind of can't. I mean, you can, but like it's a little on the hush hush from what I understand about it. But then they had eventually like a third party program where You reach out to them. I think you pay a certain amount of money and you get a license for it, so you're allowed to do that. But like Nintendo doesn't like when people do that. They're very, very much like, no, you can't. And ironically, Smash is like one of the big ones that people like doing it for. So yeah, it's hard with that kind of stuff too, because sometimes you have to think about that, and you'll do all this work and all this preparation, and then you have your go live date, and then you get a cease and desist, and you're like, well, what the fuck? People are like, why can't you do that? Why didn't you do that? I legally can't tell you. Sorry.
Yeah. I always found it more fun to host like creator events, because I think it's cool to get people involved in tournaments that don't necessarily play them very often, right? Because like a competitive sweaty event for any game is a dime a dozen. Like there's a bunch of those online even today, even with some of those platforms maybe dying out a little bit. So it was always fun for me to get like streamers or like YouTubers involved in things that they usually wouldn't, and I think in a lot of cases they were able to enjoy it maybe more than they realized. But doing those type of events also adds like, you're no longer just posting a tweet that says, hey, I'm hosting a tournament, sign up, right? Now you're reaching out to everyone and you're trying to make sure teams are kind of balanced, and you're dealing with all the bullshit of like, hey, my teammate backed out, can I pick up X person? And you're like, well, X person's a fucking X pro, so probably not. And then they're like, yeah, and then you get like, then you see like tweets with people like bitching you wouldn't let them in the tournament. It becomes a whole thing. But yeah, I don't know.
You want to take the fun thing and just keep it be fun. And unfortunately, some people like, and I get it. Like you're being rejected for something and doesn't feel good, but it's not about we don't want you specifically. It's like we're trying to make this a more fun, casual thing, not hey, let's go and see if we can reignite you into the league, because that's not the goal with that. But some people take it really, really seriously.
I mean, at the end of the day, and I totally understand it because I've been on the other side of it and I've done the same thing. Anytime you put like a money amount to it, people want money, right? And people are competitive. So the second you say, hey, X content creator, I've invited you to an event and get a teammate that falls within those parameters. People are going to push those parameters to the best they can because they want to win, whether it's competitive or because they want money. And I did that in like there was like a Splitgate content creator tournament that I got invited to, and it was like you were supposed to find, like their thought was you were like basically gonna go find like other content creators, and I just found like the best AM player I could find that would play on my team, right? And he carried us the whole fucking way. We got like third place, and we would have probably won if. So it was teams of 4, right? So each team had 2 content creators, and each content creator was supposed to pick a teammate. Now I'm just saying, had we picked my team, we would have taken the dub. But we played with one of his friends, and we could have had 2 carries instead of 1. That's all I'm saying. Is I knew I wasn't carrying, so let's load up the squad. But that's the other side of it, right? Where like when I was organizing the tournament, I'm like, well, that's like, all right, like come on. But when you're in the tournament, you're like, I want to win. It's like $5,000. Like money's nice. Like everyone needs money, right? So like I totally get it. It goes both ways. So it probably sucks to be someone that's like, oh, like I could easily win this event, but they're not letting me in it because of whatever reason, right? So just more red tape when you don't do open events, right? But at the same time, like I think open events they have their place, but in a lot of cases, I don't know. These days, they're probably best held by the publishers. But it's just there's the problem with open events is it's hard to like get any return from that if you're not the publisher, because like if you're just an average person and you want to host like a 5K or a 1K Halo Infinite tournament, you're gonna get a bunch of people sign up. Maybe you get some pros, but like the viewership's not going to be crazy because it's like probably a lot of people haven't heard of, or it's like weird mixed teams, and it's like, did you really get your investment back on your 1K? Whereas if you go after a ton of people that like pull viewership, then maybe you're more likely to get enough eyeballs to make it worth it. But honestly, like that was something too, is I had tried to like, because we had like some small sponsors for like different stuff, and there was like one of the events that I wrapped like a YouTube, like a video sponsor into the tournament sponsor. And realistically, it was just a video sponsor, but I was just like, hey, I'm going to throw this event, but I'll also give you a mid-roll ad. But like, if you give me X amount of money, and so it's like I basically just, I mean, realistically, they were like the title sponsor, but like, it's kind of just my money, right? Whereas like, I could have also just taken that as a mid-roll ad and probably off like gotten the same amount of money. But like, I was never able to get like enough sponsorship. And again, I say that even though I had the opportunity and I basically just didn't do anything with it. So. I think a lot of it was I knew going into that I was burnt out of Halo, and it was at the point where I wasn't playing Halo. I didn't care about Halo anymore. And it also like was, hey, you're gonna host this for X person. So I knew there wasn't like the flexibility of like doing it for myself. So it was like I was tied into the parameters of this is what they wanted, and I didn't necessarily care enough to deal with all the back and forth that I was gonna have to deal with. On top of the fact that it's like I at the time just like I didn't care about Halo Infinite. Like I wasn't playing it. I'm still not really playing it, but like I was kind of over the game. So it's like, do I really want to do all this work to host an event for someone else in that scene that I not like that I dislike, but like I know it's gonna be a lot of work to work with them. I don't even really want to do this. Like it would be fun, but I just let the opportunity flutter away.
It's tough to like reason with yourself on that too, because there's been opportunities I'm sure a lot of creators have faced where it's a lot of money, it's good money, but it's not necessarily about, oh, I don't agree with this advertisement or I don't agree with this partnership. Sometimes it just comes down to the fact like, man, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And it sounds insane to some people, but that, for some that is just the reality. Is like it's not necessarily about the life-changing money. It's not necessarily about, I could heighten my career with this. Sometimes it just really just boils down to the fact like, man, I got too much going on. I need a break. Even
Yep.
if a break is like a night, just
Yeah.
a break. When you do get to those points, do you like purposely take breaks, or do you kind of get to the point where your body decides that for you and makes you take a break?
I honestly don't know if I've ever really taken like YouTube breaks or anything like that. Like I feel like ever since I started, I've just constantly kind of been like go go go. I mean, there's definitely like weeks where maybe I'm a little less locked in. Like there's usually they correlate with like I'm just playing a game that I enjoy. But I've never like full on like I'm gonna take a 2 week break and not do like anything YouTube. Like I'm pretty much I've always just been working on something, whether it's like for the main channel or it's like I was trying to do something else. Like I feel like I've always been trying to do something. So I've never like other than like the few times where I've taken like an IRL vacation. So it's like for a few days I just wasn't by a computer. But then usually like the whole time I'm like, all right, as soon as I get back, gotta get back on the grind.
So a completely healthy and normal relationship with that.
Yeah.
All right, well, Arash, thank you so much for hanging out and talking with us for a while. I mean, we obviously covered a large variety of topics, and hopefully, people got some good information from your insight on that. I know I did. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that obviously us being friends for as long as we have, I've known about you, but there's some cool things that I learned. So I hope a lot of good comes from this episode.
Yeah.
But
No.
oh.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, man. It was fun. Like I said, I like the podcasting itch is still there. Like sometimes it's just fun to talk shit with people or like talk shop or whatever. I guess whatever the verbiage is. So it was fun, man. I enjoyed it. I hope the podcast venture kind of pops off for you. It gets a little goes a little viral and you get all the numbers, and maybe in a year or two we reconvene. You'll be a famous podcaster and I'll be playing Fortnite, so we'll reconvene. I'll still be in queue though, so I might look a little more dead than I do today, maybe a little more bald.
A little more
um
gray.
yeah, I did that. I think the hair will be gone, honestly. I think Fortnite has receded my hairline like at
You
least
think
an inch
so?
since I start off, for sure.
Oh man, dude, I'm getting there myself, which is crazy to think about. Considering like I don't know how easy it is to see through this horrible lighting I have, but I've been growing this out for a while, and
I'm
I'd
gonna
be
be
devastated
honest.
now.
Your hair is kind of just a black blob. Like it
Yeah,
blends in with the shirt, and like
I think
yeah, there's not the contrast isn't there. I mean, I know you have long hair because I've seen other pictures, but there you
And that's
go.
that didn't
There
change
you
a damn
go.
thing.
Your hair's just too dark.
Yeah, it's just a void. But yeah, man, thanks you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Is there anything that you got coming up project wise that you want to go ahead and let everybody know to keep an eye out for?
I have a few things in the cooker. I mean, obviously we're working on the Fortnite challenge. Eventually, all the suffering is for a video. Eventually, the video will it'll materialize at some point. Besides that, I don't know when this will come out, so the video will probably already be out. But I am trying to work on editing some content that I've already kind of finished up. So like I had I got one of the like the harder achievements in Gears Tactics. I'm like basically like that video is like written, recorded. It just needs to be edited, and it's just like sat in my folder for like 2 weeks now, and I basically just stare at it every day. And then instead of like doing anything with it, I just like open Fortnite. So it hasn't made much progress, but it probably I assume it'll probably be out before this is. So go watch that video. It that was also a terrible challenge. So that achievement is horrible, and I won't spoil it. So just go watch the video. It sucked. It was like 50 hours of Gears Tactics, and I was miserable for most of it. So definitely definitely worth maybe it's worth a watch. I don't even know. Besides that, I stream usually like challengey shit. I haven't decided. People on stream keep asking me like what's after Fortnite. I honestly have no clue at this point. Kind of just riding the wave. If something does well, I'll just keep doing it. If it doesn't, we'll just try something new. I think that's where we're at on YouTube. I think like still gonna stick to like things that bring me somewhat enjoyment. Like you're not going to see me playing like Minecraft, probably. Fuck, who knows, man.
Never say
I
never.
yeah, like honestly, it's like one of those things where like I get a lot of enjoyment out of just interacting with people. So it's like if people showed up to watch me do like a Minecraft hardcore run, I could care less about Minecraft. But if the people are there, that's where I'd get my entertainment out of like having like chat laugh at me like fall off a cliff and like stuff like that. So and that's kind of been like the fun part of the Fortnite challenge is like there's been a lot of people that have showed up to watch me suck at Fortnite. And so like it's been fun, but anyways, I think I answered your question. Watch videos on YouTube and click buttons that make video do good.
Also, buy his merch.
Yes, it still exists. I don't
Does
really
still
ever do
exist.
anything with it.
But yeah, I wanted to make sure I wore that on a special occasion just for you. Like
That's so funny.
unintentionally. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. It was good seeing you. It was good talking to you. And everybody, make sure you go check out all the links in the description for all of Arrash's content. And once again, buy his shirts. Bye.